The temple bells echoed through the alien city. Each strike was heavy and cold, shaking the hearts of the people. A crowd had gathered inside the ancient stone hall, their eyes wide, their voices whispering. They were waiting for judgment. They were waiting for the priest. At the center of the hall, under the burning torches, stood a young alien girl. Her hair was tangled, her eyes red from crying, and her hands tied with glowing rope. Strange marks shimmered faintly across her skin. Thin lines of light that pulsed like living veins every time they glowed. People stepped back in fear. "She is cursed," the alien priest shouted. His voice was loud, sharp, and filled with power. He wore long, dark robes, his staff glowing with symbols of authority. No one must touch her, no one must stand near her. The curse will spread and death will follow. The crowd gasped. Mothers pulled their children closer. Some threw stones at the girl. She winced but did not cry out. She only lowered her head, shame burning in her chest among the crowd. One figure did not move away. He was a human. Taller than most of the aliens, his clothes were simple. A traveler's jacket and worn boots. His face carried calmness, but his eyes were sharp. He did not look away from the girl. The priest raised his staff higher. "By the will of the gods, she must be cast out. Her family must disown her. Her tribe must reject her. She is a danger to all of us." The girl trembled up. "Please. I didn't ask for this," she whispered. Her voice was almost lost under the noise of the crowd. But the human heard it, and something inside him stirred. The crowd cheered the priest's words, shouting for her to be removed. Some demanded her death. Their fear was like fire spreading fast. But the human's eyes narrowed. He had traveled many worlds, seen many lies spoken by men of power. Something about the priest's voice felt too practiced, too rehearsed. Why did his eyes not hold fear, only greed? The girl's knees weakened. She fell to the floor, her glowing marks flickering weakly. For a moment, silence filled the temple. Then the priest lowered his staff toward her head. The curse must be sealed, but before he could finish, a strong voice cut through the hall. "Enough!" The crowd turned in shock. It was the human, stepping forward. His boots echoed against the stone. Every eye followed him, confused and afraid. The priest's face twisted. "Outsider," he hissed. "Do not interfere in the matters of our gods." The human kept walking, his gaze fixed on the girl. She lifted her head slightly, her eyes meeting his. In them he saw not a monster, not a curse, but only fear, only loneliness. "Tell me," the human said, his voice calm but strong. "If she is cursed, then why is she still alive?" The crowd murmured, uncertain. The priest slammed his staff against the floor. "Because the curse is patient. It waits, it spreads slowly, do not question sacred law." The human's lips curved into the smallest smile. He had seen this before. Leaders using fear to control the weak, and he hated it. The girl shook her head desperately. "Please, don't come near me," she whispered. Her voice cracked. "If you touch me, you'll die, they all say so." The human stopped a step away from her. The crowd leaned forward, holding their breath. The priest raised his staff higher, ready to strike if the human moved closer. The human crouched down, his eyes never leaving hers. "Then let me be the fool who finds out," he said softly. And slowly he reached out his hand. The crowd gasped in horror. Some screamed, others hid their faces. The priest shouted, "Stop! You'll bring doom upon us all." But the human ignored them. His hand moved closer. The girl's tears fell, her heart racing. Her glowing marks flared brightly, threatening to burn, and then his hand touched hers. The hall shook with silence. No fire, no curse, no death, only warmth. Her trembling hand stilled under his. The glowing marks calmed. Fading into a soft light, the girl looked at him, her eyes wide with disbelief. You're not," she whispered, unable to finish. The human smiled faintly. "See? Still alive." The priest's face turned pale with rage. His lie had been challenged. His authority was trembling. He gripped his staff tightly, his voice shaking with fury. This cannot be," he roared. "The curse cannot be broken by human hands." But the crowd was no longer certain. Whispers rose among them. Doubt had entered their hearts. The human did not care for their whispers. He held her hand firmly, steady and calm. For the first time in her life, she was not alone, and in that silence, the girl realized something. Her curse was not real, but the danger had only just begun. The temple doors slammed shut behind her. The sound echoed like thunder. The young alien girl stumbled into the dark street, her wrists bruised where the glowing ropes had held her. The rain fell heavy, cold drops mixing with her tears. Behind her, the crowd still murmured inside the temple. Fearful whispers carried by the wind. "She is cursed," someone muttered. "Stay away. Or you'll be marked too." The girl pulled her thin cloak tighter around her, trying to hide the glowing lines that crawled faintly across her skin. Her own people wouldn't look at her. Some spat when she passed. Others threw scraps of food at her feet like she was some diseased animal. Her family had shut their doors to her. Even her mother turned away in fear. She had nowhere to go, nowhere to belong. From the shadows, the human watched her walk. He leaned against the wall of an old stone building, his eyes steady. He had seen many cruel things across the stars, but this felt different. There was no monster here. No real curse, only fear and lies, and yet this girl carried all the weight alone. The human followed at a distance as she moved through the streets. Her steps were weak, slow. She passed by the market stalls, where merchants quickly covered their goods the moment they saw her. "Don't touch. Don't come near," they shouted, their faces pale. She lowered her head, her heart heavy. Hunger burned in her stomach. But no one would sell her food. She reached out once, trembling fingers brushing a piece of bread on a stand. The merchant smacked her hand away, his voice harsh. "Out, cursed one! Out before you bring death to us all." The crowd laughed nervously, their fear mixing with cruelty. She turned and fled, the bread still on the table, her stomach aching. She ran until her legs gave way, collapsing in a small alley where the rainwater pooled. Her glowing marks flickered brighter in the dark. Her chest rose and fell quickly. She hugged her knees, whispering to herself, "Why me? What did I do? Why am I cursed?" She was so lost in despair that she didn't notice the human approach. His boots splashed quietly in the puddles as he stepped into the alley. He crouched a short distance away, his eyes soft but steady. "You'll catch a fever sitting in the rain," he said. His voice calm, the girl's head snapped up, her eyes wide. "Stay back," she cried, her voice cracked with fear. "If you touch me again, you'll die." They all said so. The human tilted his head, his lips twitching with the faintest smile. "And yet I touched your hand, didn't I? Do I look dead to you?" She stared at him, unable to answer. The memory of the warmth of his hand still lingered in her own. Her heart told her he was different, but her fear was stronger. "You shouldn't follow me," she whispered, her voice weak. "If they see you with me, they'll turn against you too. You'll be cast out, hated, just like me." The human looked up at the sky for a moment, rain dripping down his face. "I've been cast out before," he said simply. "It doesn't scare me anymore." The girl blinked, confusion mixing with her sadness. Why would a human care? Why would he risk himself for her? No one ever had. For a long moment, silence hung between them. The rain fell harder, thunder rolled far in the distance. Finally, the human stood and walked closer. He set something on the ground before her, a small piece of bread. Wrapped in cloth, the smell was warm, fresh. Her eyes widened, hunger clawing at her stomach. I can't take this," she whispered, shaking her head. "Why not?" the human asked, his tone calm. "You're starving. You need it more than I do." Her trembling hands reached out slowly. She held the bread close, afraid it might vanish. Tears filled her eyes as she took a bite, the warmth spreading through her body. She hadn't tasted kindness in so long it felt unreal. "Why?" she asked softly, her voice barely above the rain. "Why are you helping me? Don't you fear me?" The human crouched again, his eyes meeting hers. "I don't believe in curses," he said, "but I do believe in lies. And I think you've been living under one for far too long." Her breath caught in her throat. His words pierced through the fog of fear in her heart. A lie? Could it be true? But before she could speak, a shadow moved at the end of the alley. Two temple guards stood there, their armor shining under the rain, their eyes cold and filled with duty. "There she is," one hissed. "The cursed one is not allowed to stay within the city walls." The second guard pointed his spear toward her. "And you, human outsider, leave her be or suffer the same fate." The girl's heart froze. Fear gripped her. She clutched the bread tightly against her chest, whispering, "Run. They'll hurt you if you stay." But the human did not move. He stood slowly, placing himself between the girl and the guards. His eyes narrowed, his stance firm. "I don't run from bullies," he said, his voice calm but steady. The girl's eyes widened, shock and fear battling in her chest. The guard stepped forward. their weapons raised, and in that moment she realized the human was not just helping her. He was willing to fight for her, even if the whole city stood against them. The rain poured harder as the guards stepped into the alley. Their spears gleamed with cold light, sharp tips pointing straight at the human and the girl. "She cannot remain here," one of the guards barked, his voice echoing against the stone walls. "The priest has spoken. She is cursed. She must be removed tonight." The girl's heart raced, her body shook. She hugged the bread against her chest as if it were her last treasure. She whispered, "Please, don't fight them, they'll kill you, just go. Forget me." But the human didn't move. His boots were planted firmly on the wet stones. His shoulders squared. He faced the guards with calm eyes. "You speak of curses," the human said, his voice steady. "But I touched her hand." And nothing happened. The guards hesitated, glancing at each other. The rumor of what had happened in the temple had already spread. But they had orders, and the priest's orders were law. "Lies," the taller guard spat. "The curse takes time. It waits in silence before it strikes. You will die soon." "Outsider." The human tilted his head slightly, a faint smirk on his lips. "Then perhaps I'll enjoy every moment of defiance before it comes." The girl's eyes widened. His words burned into her heart like fire. He wasn't afraid. Not of the guards, not of the curse, not of anything. The guard stepped closer. "Move aside," one growled. "She must be taken beyond the walls. The desert will swallow her." "As is tradition, no," the human said simply. His voice was quiet but unshakable. The guards stiffened, their spears raised higher. Their shadows stretched long in the flickering torchlight. The girl shook her head desperately. "Stop. Please, you'll be punished too," she whispered. Her tears mixed with the rain. The human turned slightly. Meeting her eyes, his voice softened. "If they call it punishment to protect you, then so be it." Before the guards could strike, the girl cried out, her voice trembling. "No, don't touch me. I can't let you suffer for me." Her words made the human pause. His gaze softened even more. He crouched slightly in front of her, his hand extended. "If your touch brings death," he said quietly, "then let me die with truth, not with fear." The world seemed to freeze. The guards tensed, waiting. The girl's chest rose and fell rapidly. Her glowing marks flared like fire. "No," she whispered, "please don't." But his hand moved closer, closer, until his warm skin pressed against hers. The alley filled with a brilliant light. The glowing lines across her skin blazed brighter than ever before. The rain turned to steam where it touched her. The guard stumbled back in fear, shouting, but the human stood firm. His hand clasped hers tightly. He did not flinch, his body did not burn. His eyes did not close in pain. Instead, he smiled faintly. Calm and steady, the girl stared in shock. Her trembling slowed, her glowing lines changed. They no longer flickered in wild chaos. Instead, they pulsed gently like a heartbeat, calm, steady, alive. I don't understand," she whispered. No one could touch me without." The human leaned closer, his voice steady. "Maybe the curse was never real. Maybe it was only fear, and fear is no chain for me." The guards recovered, anger rising to replace their fear. "Sorcery," one shouted. "The human has brought forbidden power." "No," the human said firmly, his voice sharp as steel. "I only brought my hand and my choice." The crowd outside the alley began to gather, drawn by the shouting and the strange light. Whispers filled the air, faces peeked from doorways. Fear mixed with curiosity. They saw the human's hand holding the cursed girl's hand, and yet he was still alive, still standing. Her glow did not destroy him. It calmed with his touch. Whispers turned into murmurs. Murmurs grew into voices. Is it true? Was the curse a lie? Why does the human survive? The priest's name was spoken in the crowd, suspicion creeping into voices. Doubt was dangerous, and it had begun to spread. The girl's eyes widened in panic. "They'll turn on you," she whispered. "The priest won't allow this. He'll destroy you for shaming him." The human's lips curled into a small smile. "Then let him try." The guards, furious, stepped forward, spears raised. "Enough! Both of you will come with us." The human's eyes narrowed. He shifted his stance, ready to fight. "You'll have to make me," he said quietly. The girl grabbed his sleeve, her voice trembling. "You can't fight the whole temple." He glanced back at her, his voice low but certain. "Then we don't fight the temple tonight. We run." And with a sudden pull, he dragged her to her feet, their hands never breaking apart. The guards lunged forward. their spears cutting through the rain, but the human moved fast, ducking into the shadows of the city's narrow streets. Pulling the girl with him, the guards shouted, the crowd roared, and as they disappeared into the maze of the city, the girl's glowing mark shone like a beacon in the dark. She whispered, breathless, Why do you hold my hand still?" The human looked at her, rain dripping from his face. His voice was calm. "Because no one else would, and because you're not cursed. You're just alone." Her chest tightened. A warmth spread inside her chest that had nothing to do with her glowing marks. For the first time in her life, she believed his words. But far behind them, inside the temple, the priest's furious roar echoed like thunder. "Find them! Bring me the cursed one and the human, or I will burn this city to the ground." The city was restless. Torches burned late into the night. Whispers moved through every street like shadows. People asked the same question again and again. How could the human touch the cursed girl and live? In the grand temple, the priest sat upon the high seat. His dark robe spread around him like wings. His staff glowed faintly, pulsing with strange symbols. His eyes burned with fury. For years, no one had dared question his word, but now, a single outsider had shaken the foundation of his power. "The curse is truth," he snarled, slamming his staff on the stone floor. "It has always been truth, and yet they doubt me now because of one foolish human." Around him, the council of elders sat nervously. Their eyes darted between each other, their voices low. "The people are whispering. If the curse is false, then what else have we believed that was a lie?" The priest rose, towering over them. "Silence. There is no lie here. The curse is real, and I will prove it with fire and blood if I must. That human has brought danger. His touch has awakened something within the girl. I can feel it." His words sent shivers through the elders. They did not dare argue. His anger was like a storm, far from the temple. In a quiet, abandoned house at the edge of the city, the girl sat on the floor. Her glowing lines dimmed as she leaned against the wall. Her body was exhausted, but her heart was racing. The human sat beside her, his back against the same wall, his eyes watching the door carefully. "They won't stop looking for us," she whispered, her voice weak. "The priest will never forgive this." "You should have left me. You should have run while you could." The human glanced at her, his voice calm. "I don't run from liars. Not when they use fear to break people." She shook her head. "You don't understand. He's not just a priest. He controls everything. The guards, the council, even the families. If he says I am cursed, then I am cursed. No one will ever accept me." The human leaned closer, his voice steady. "And yet, when I touched you, the curse did nothing. What does that tell you?" Her lips parted, but no answer came. The warmth of his hand earlier still lingered in her memory. It was the only moment in her life she had felt safe. Suddenly, heavy footsteps echoed outside. The human's eyes narrowed. He motioned for her to stay quiet. The sound of armor and voices filled the street. "The priest says they were seen near here." A guard shouted. The girl trembled. Clutching her arms, her glowing lines flared faintly. Betraying her fear, the human put a hand on her shoulder. "Steady and calm. Trust me," he whispered. The door rattled, then burst open. 2 guards stormed inside, their spears raised. "There! The cursed one!" Before they could strike, the human moved. He grabbed a broken wooden beam from the floor, swinging it with surprising strength. The spear clashed against the beam, sparks flying. The guard stumbled back, shocked at the human's resistance. The second guard lunged, but the girl screamed. Her glowing marks flared bright. The guard froze mid-strike, blinded by the sudden light. The human used the moment to kick him back, sending him crashing into the wall. The first guard scrambled to his feet, fear in his eyes. "This is sorcery." The priest was right, her power grows with him. They fled into the night, leaving the human and girl breathing heavily in the broken house. The girl's eyes were wide with fear and confusion. "What's happening to me?" she whispered, looking at her glowing arms. It never did this before." The human's voice was calm, but his eyes were sharp. "Maybe the priest feared you for another reason. Maybe you're not cursed. Maybe you're powerful." Her heart pounded. The word powerful felt so far from what she had known all her life. But deep inside, something stirred, something she couldn't explain. Back in the temple, the priest raged as the guards returned, trembling with fear. "We could not take them," one stammered. The girl, she glowed brighter. It was like she drew strength from the human. The priest's hands tightened on his staff. His voice became a low growl. "Then it is true. His touch has awakened the ancient blood in her. She must not live if the people see her for what she is. They will turn against me. They will call me a liar. They will strip me of power. He raised his staff high, the symbols blazing with unnatural fire. No, I will not allow it. I will burn the human, I will burn the girl, and when their ashes scatter, the people will forget their doubt. But in the shadows of the temple, not all were convinced. Some of the younger guards exchanged glances, whispers forming in the dark. What if the priest has lied? What if she is not cursed but chosen? The storm of doubt was growing, unseen by the priest. Meanwhile, in the quiet safety of the abandoned house, the girl leaned against the human. Her voice was soft, trembling. Why do you still hold my hand even now when the whole city calls me cursed? The human looked at her, his voice low but steady. Because truth is never found in fear, and because you are not cursed. You are something far greater. Her eyes filled with tears. For the first time she dared to believe him. But outside, the sound of drums echoed through the city. A signal, a hunt. The priest had unleashed the full wrath of his temple, and the night of fire was about to begin. The city drums thundered through the night. Their deep rhythm carried across every street, calling the people out of their homes. Soldiers marched with torches, their armor clanging like iron bells. The priest had ordered a hunt, every eye, every blade. Every shadow was searching for the cursed girl and the human who dared defy him. Inside the abandoned house, the girl sat trembling. Her glowing marks faint but restless. Her hands clutched tightly together, her voice cracked. They won't stop. He will never stop. He'll burn this whole city just to destroy me. The human sat opposite her. Calm though his eyes were sharp, he tore strips of cloth from his jacket, wrapping them around his arms for protection. Then we need to know why, he said firmly. Fear doesn't grow this strong unless someone feeds it. The priest isn't just afraid of you, he's hiding something. The girl shook her head. No, it's always been this way since I was a child. The marks on my skin frightened them. The priest said they were proof of the curse. My family believed him. Everyone did, her eyes filled with tears. What if he's right? What if I really am cursed? The human leaned forward, his voice steady. Then why am I still alive? Her lips trembled. Her gaze fell to his hands, hands that had touched hers more than once, hands that should have turned to ash if the curse were true, and yet they were strong, steady, warm. The truth gnawed at her heart, but fear held her voice silent. Suddenly, there was a faint creak from beneath the floorboards. The human's eyes darted down. He pressed his hand against the wood, then pulled it loose. Beneath the house was a hidden space, a dark passage leading down into stone. What is that? The girl whispered. Maybe answers, the human said. Helping her to her feet, they slipped down into the passage. Closing the boards above them, the air grew cold and damp. Their footsteps echoed as they followed the tunnel. At the end, a heavy door stood, carved with the same glowing symbols as those on the priest's staff. The girl's glowing marks pulsed brighter as she approached it. The symbols answered her, glowing in rhythm with her heartbeat. The human's eyes narrowed. Looks like it was meant for you. Her trembling hand pressed against the door. The stone shifted, ancient gears grinding. Slowly the door opened, revealing a hidden chamber. Inside were scrolls, tablets, and murals carved into the walls. All glowed faintly with the same light as her skin. The murals showed figures with glowing lines. Not cursed, but crowned, their hands raised in blessing, their eyes burning like stars. The girl staggered back, her heart racing. This can't be. The human stepped closer, studying the murals. These people, your ancestors? She shook her head in disbelief. The priest told us the curse came from an ancient sin, that those marked with light would bring destruction. But these murals, they show honor, they show kings, queens, guardians. The human's voice was calm but firm. Then the truth is simple. You were never cursed, you were chosen. The priest lied to keep the power for himself. If the people knew, they'd see you as their rightful leader. Not him. Her knees weakened. She pressed her hands to her face, whispering, all my life, all those years of shame, all the fear, the loneliness, my family abandoning me. It was all built on a lie. The human placed a hand gently on her shoulder, steadying her. Not your fault, never your fault, he was afraid of you. Because the truth would destroy him. Before she could answer, footsteps echoed from the tunnel. The torchlight grew closer. Voices filled the air. Search everywhere. They must be down here. The girl panicked, but the human's hand stayed firm on hers. We can't fight them all, he said. But now we know the truth. That's our weapon. The chamber shook as the door was forced open. Guards stormed inside, their spears raised behind them. The priest himself entered, his eyes blazing with fury. His staff pulsed with burning light. "You dare step into sacred ground," he roared, pointing his staff at the human. "You defile what is holy with your unworthy hands." But the girl stepped forward before the human could speak, her voice trembling but loud enough to echo. "You lied to us." The guards froze. The priest's eyes widened in rage. "Silence, cursed one." She shook her head, tears streaming down her face. Her glowing marks blazed brightly, illuminating the murals behind her. "These walls show the truth. The marked are not cursed, they are blessed, they are chosen. And you made us fear what we should have honored." The guards glanced at the murals, doubt flickering in their eyes. Some lowered their spears uncertainly. The priest snarled, raising his staff. "Lies! I am the voice of the gods, obey me." But the human stepped beside the girl, his voice strong and calm. "No priest, no staff. No lie can stand against truth forever." The chamber grew tense, the guards' loyalty wavered. Their eyes shifted between the priest and the glowing girl who stood tall beside the human. The priest's face twisted with hatred. He lifted his staff high, ready to strike them both down. "Then I will burn the truth from this world." But before his strike could fall, the girl's glowing marks flared like fire. Her body shone so brightly the chamber walls shook. The staff's symbols cracked. The priest stumbling back in shock, the girl gasped, her voice trembling but strong. "No more lies, no more fear." The chamber trembled. The choice between truth and fear had finally arrived. The chamber shook as the girl's glowing light filled the walls. The guards shielded their eyes. Some dropping their spears in fear, the priest stumbled back, his staff cracking with sparks as the power inside resisted her brilliance. "She awakens." One of the younger guards gasped, his voice trembled. The murals were true, but the priest's roar silenced them. "No, she is cursed. Blind your eyes to her tricks." He slammed his staff on the ground, a wave of fire rushing forward. The human grabbed the girl's hand, pulling her aside. The flames scorched the stone where they had stood. The air filled with smoke, the guards scattered, unsure whether to follow their master or their fear. "Run!" the human shouted, and together they rushed out of the chamber, their steps echoing through the tunnel. The priest bellowed behind them. "Don't let them escape! Seize the cursed one." The girl's glowing marks lit the way through the dark tunnels as they fled. Her breath came fast, her heart racing. She looked at the human beside her. "Why do you keep holding my hand, even now when the whole city is against us?" The human's grip tightened, his voice calm despite the chaos. "Because it reminds you that you're not alone. And it reminds me why I fight." Her chest tightened, a strange warmth blooming inside her. But there was no time for words. The tunnel opened into the night air, the rain still pouring hard. But the streets were alive with soldiers. Torches flared on every corner. The sound of boots and armor filled the city. The priest had unleashed all his power. "They've locked the gates," the girl whispered in terror. "We're trapped." The human scanned the streets. His eyes sharp, he noticed narrow alleys, rooftops, and bridges above the canals. His lips curved into the faintest smile. "Then we don't use gates. We use shadows." He pulled her into a side alley just as a squad of soldiers marched past. Their torches lit the walls, but the two fugitives slipped into the darkness. The human guided her with quick movements, ducking under old wooden beams, climbing ladders, crossing rain-soaked rooftops. The girl stumbled once, nearly falling, but the human caught her, holding her steady. "I won't let you fall," he whispered. She looked at him, her breath caught, and nodded weakly. Below them, soldiers searched the streets, shouting orders. "Find them! The priest wants them alive!" The girl's glowing marks betrayed them, shining faintly even under the rain. The human quickly tore a strip of cloth and wrapped her arms. "Hiding the light, better," he said, and she gave him a small nod of gratitude. But soon the sound of pursuit grew closer. Shouts echoed from every direction. The priest's voice roared above them, carried by unnatural power. "You cannot hide from me, cursed one. This city belongs to me, and you will die in its ashes." The girl shivered. "He'll burn everything if he has to. He's done it before." The human's eyes narrowed. "Not tonight." They reached a wide canal. Its waters dark and fast under the storm. Soldiers blocked the bridges on either side. Torches flickered as they searched every shadow. "There's no way across," the girl whispered, panic filling her voice. "They'll catch us." The human looked at the water, then at her. "Can you swim?" Her eyes widened. "Not well. But..." Before she could finish, he tightened his grip. "Then hold on. Without hesitation, he leapt into the canal, pulling her with him. The cold water swallowed them, the storm carrying them swiftly downstream. Torches flashed on the bridges as soldiers shouted, "There!" In the water. Arrows whistled through the rain, splashing into the canal. But the human held her close, his stroke strong, guiding her under the current. Her glowing marks lit the water faintly. But the storm kept them hidden. She clung to him, terrified, her voice muffled against his chest. "Why do you risk this? Why do you fight so hard for me?" The human's voice was low but fierce. "Because no one else would. Because lies should never decide who lives and who dies." They surfaced near the far edge of the city, pulling themselves onto the slippery stones, their bodies shivering, breath heavy. The human glanced back. The soldiers were still searching, but the storm had hidden their trail. "We're not safe yet," he said. "The priest won't stop until he has you. But now we have something he fears more than you. Truth." The girl's eyes widened, her voice trembling. "Truth won't protect us from his fire." The human looked at her glowing marks, now blazing brighter than ever in the rain. His voice was calm. "No, but you will." Her chest tightened, fear and hope clashing inside her. Could she really fight the priest? Could she really be more than cursed? Before she could answer, the sound of horns echoed through the night. The priest himself had come, riding at the head of his soldiers, his staff blazing like a torch of fire. His voice thundered across the streets. "There will be no dawn for you, cursed child. Your light dies here." The girl clutched the human's hand tighter, her voice shook. "He'll kill us both." But the human stood tall, rain pouring down his face, his grip never faltering. "Then let's make him bleed for every step." The chase was not over. It had only just begun. The storm raged over the alien city. Lightning tore across the sky, illuminating the narrow streets where the human and the girl stood. Soaked, exhausted, but unbroken, they faced the priest's army, a wave of torches and spears closing in like fire. At the front, the priest rode a black beast, his staff burning with unnatural flames. His voice rolled like thunder. "There is no escape, cursed one. You were born to die, and the outsider with you will burn as well." The girl trembled, her glowing marks blazing brighter than ever under the rain. Fear and despair battled inside her, but the human's hand tightened around hers, firm and steady. "Listen to me," he said, his voice calm even against the storm. "You are not cursed. You saw the murals. You are chosen. That light is not a chain. It's your strength. Use it." Her eyes filled with tears. "But I don't know how." He leaned closer, his gaze fierce. "Then trust me, trust yourself, and trust the truth." The priest raised his staff high, fire roaring into the sky. "Kill them both." The army surged forward, their shouts mixing with the rain. The human pulled the girl behind him, bracing himself for the charge. But before steel could strike, her glowing marks erupted. A wave of pure light burst from her skin, rolling across the street like a tide. The soldiers staggered, blinded. Their weapons clattered to the stones. Some fell to their knees, fear in their eyes. The priest roared in rage, striking his staff against the ground. Flames rose high, clashing with her light. The storm itself seemed to shiver as fire and light collided. The human shielded his eyes, but he never let go of her hand. "Don't stop," he shouted over the roar. "This is who you are," the girl cried out, her voice trembling but strong. "I am not cursed." Her light blazed brighter, pushing against the priest's flames. The murals she had seen flashed in her mind. Figures like her, not broken, not shamed, but honored guardians of their people, and for the first time she believed it. The priest's staff cracked, the runes shattering under her brilliance. His eyes widened with horror. "No, this power belongs to me." The human stepped forward, his voice sharp as a blade. "It never belonged to you. It belonged to her people all along, and you built your throne on their fear." The priest screamed, swinging his staff toward them, but the girl raised her hand. Her light burst outward like dawn breaking the night. The staff shattered into shards, the fire extinguished in the storm. The army froze, stunned. Their priest lay on the ground. His robes burned, his voice broken. No, it cannot be." The girl stood tall, glowing like a star, her tears mixed with the rain. "No more lies, no more fear. I am not cursed, I am chosen. And I will never bow to you again." The soldiers hesitated, their loyalty trembling. Some dropped their weapons entirely, falling to their knees before her light. The whispers grew louder. "She is not cursed. She is the true one." The priest tried to rise, but the human stepped forward. His boot pressed the broken staff aside, his voice cold. Your reign is finished. The priest's eyes burned with hatred. But he had no power left, his fire was gone, his lie destroyed. The girl turned to the people gathering in the rain, her glowing marks shining like banners of hope. You feared me because he told you lies, but your fear ends tonight. I will not hide anymore, I will not be silent. I will walk among you, not cursed, but free. The crowd bowed their heads. Some wept. Some reached out as if to touch the light. The chains of fear that had held them for years were breaking. The human stood beside her, silent but steady. His presence was like a wall behind her, reminding her she was not alone. For a long moment, the storm quieted, the rain softened, and for the first time in her life, the girl felt the weight lift from her chest. She turned to the human, her voice soft but filled with gratitude. You held my hand when no one else dared. You believed in me when I could not believe in myself. Why? He met her eyes, his voice calm and honest. Because sometimes, the truth needs only one person to stand for it. And because you deserve more than fear, you deserve a future. Her eyes shimmered with tears. But this time they were not of pain, they were of hope. The priest was dragged away by soldiers who no longer followed him. His screams faded into the storm, his rule broken forever. And as dawn broke through the clouds, golden light spilling across the city, the people looked up at the glowing girl who had once been shunned, no longer cursed but chosen. She lifted her hand high, the human's hand still holding hers, and the city knew. This was the beginning of a new dawn,